Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissack and Dana Gentry.
Everyone, welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissack.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
Hey, Dana, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, good. I am super excited because I've been thinking about this idea that we're talking about today for a while. Matter of fact, I want to create a course that we can offer because I thought of something one day. 99.9% of the leaders in our organization were presenters or trainers. They showed up and they love to present or train. And to me, that's kind of a first sign of someone who has the potential or wants to be a leader. So our topic today is, what did I even say it was? Oh, the reasons why you want to be a presenter and trainer, right? So
why it pays to present and train.
That's right. Well, because I was thinking, wow, it's a great way if we had a course also because I think people want to do it, but they don't know what to do. They don't know how how do I be a trainer? How do I be a presenter? And so I think it's a great course that we could put together on, why you want to be, so you want to be a presenter or a trainer. But today we're going to talk about why it pays. And some of this might resonate with some of our audience that has kind of been thinking about being a trainer or presenter. And so if you want to, you can kick us off on what are your thoughts around that?
Yep. Love it. I love this. I think this is so good. I had about 4 points to share, but I'll just kind of start with the first one that popped in my mind. We talk a lot about being an expert in your industry and or having validity in what your, whatever your role is, whatever your capacity is that you do for your job every single day. And for me, when I think about why it pays to teach and present, number one, you learn the material better. And I'm sure you're probably going to talk about that too, because you always said, if you want to learn something, if you want to get better at something, learn how to, teach it and present at it. So I think number one, you get better at it. But the thing that really stuck out to me the most is when you can get great at presenting and training on something, you have so much more validity. You become the expert in people's minds. I mean, you're valid and people want to learn from you and they put you up as an expert. And I had a funny but great example of this. And one of our friends, Troy Marsh, and for the last year and a half, Troy has been doing a monthly training for all my market centers and any guest on how to become a local market expert. Troy knows more about the local market than any other person that I know. And he loves to teach about that because he wanted to get better at that. And so he started to teach about it. He said, can I just teach this in our monthly office meeting? Because it'll make me do it every month. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. It's huge value for everybody else. Well, now it's turned into a monthly thing that people love to get on. And what that's in turn is, one, it's made him really great at it. But two, he is known as the local market expert. Like if you want to be a market expert, you think of Troy, and he's gotten that validity now. And so that was the first one, Linda, that came to my mind because it can pay in a big way to be more valid in your industry or your field, to be seen as that expert in that. And the only way to do that is just to get really great at teaching and presenting and training on it.
Mm-hmm. So true. They say that presenting and training and teaching things like that is the number one fear, even I think above death.
Oh yeah. Public speaking.
People are afraid to present than anything else. So I think it's harder for people to understand the benefits of it because there's so much fear around it. Yeah. But one of the things I think about is Press and Anna, when they were in college, they actually, well, first of all of our audience mostly is in sales. They're business owners or they're in sales, realtors are in sales, and you have to present all the time, right? So whether you want to or not, you're actually presenting. But I think about Press and Anna went to Baylor University and they had a great, actually the professor moved from Cincinnati, from a college in Cincinnati, whatever college is there. And she put together this program called Professional Sales. And all they did in the whole program was they trained them on presenting.
Wow.
So, we see presenting and training as separate than sales, but they're really not separate. And I want you to know the skill that they got from that degree was they had job offers from all over the place, Fortune 100 companies, top companies. But the reality is because that presenting and that skill is such a valuable skill to have. And so, we sometimes think in real estate that we're in a different arena, but the truth is you have to present every day. And so I think when you can come across, like you can present well, again, it raises your validity, like you said, raises your influence, gives you more credibility. There's so many values there. But yeah, so I agree. It really is a lot about validity and influence.
Yep. Love it. Yep. What do you have next?
Next thing I had was great lead generator. Most
people
to me, I've always used teaching as a lead generator. So whether I'm recruiting,
I can't believe I forgot that one. That's so true.
Yep. And I think about it the year in my own business, we used like the Shift book, we used Quantum Leap to teach to our past clients, and 150 of my past clients showed up and we got a ton of deals from that. And we didn't talk anything about real estate that day. We just talked about their life. You know what Quantum Leap is all about.
Yeah.
So and I taught over to college. We had these things called continuing ed. And so they would get professionals to come teach it. I taught there, built great validity and influence from doing that. So it's actually, to me, one of the better lead generators. And of course, I do it all the time in recruiting because it's number one, it's a way to draw out people that you want to draw out, learning-based people who are interested in certain topics, whatever. And so to me, it's if you can have 50 eyes looking at you instead of 2, God only gave us 24 hours. It's a great leverage for our time. And not to mention, if you teach the courses that you need to master, you're triple multiplying your time because you got to practice sometimes anyway. So let's say I'm going to teach on listing presentations. Well, I should be practicing my listing presentations anyway. If I open the door and allow recruits to come in, now I've multiplied it double times, and then I'm mastering it and learning and creating influence and validity by doing it. So to me, it's one of the greatest multipliers, a form of leverage that there is actually out there.
Yeah, that's so true. I cannot believe I did not have that one on my list. That's so true. Yeah, it is. It's so big. I was just even thinking, I spoke at the University of Kentucky a couple weeks ago to the Marketing 401 class. And afterwards, 2 people, there was probably 50 in the class, maybe 2 people messaged me afterwards saying, I would love to work with you or with your organization, and I was like, man, that's so great. But that's a perfect example. I honestly did not go into that thinking anything would, come out of that. I was just going to give back to them. And it is so true how that happens as a lead generator, and you may not even realize it.
Yeah. Do you have another one or?
Yeah, I had, this one, I've been reading that dang brain book every day. And so one of the things I've been learning from Dr. Amen in there is the way that, what am I trying to say? Your blood flow, the way that your blood flow affects your brain. Well, the number 2 way for blood to keep flowing for your brain to stay healthy all the time is by learning. Because he said that often, and we know this, but he said that often, and also low blood flow is the number 1 predictor of Alzheimer's now. And actually the worst thing that you can do, this is a squirrel, but for low blood flow, for all of you that drink coffee, sorry, but caffeine, smoking, nicotine, or being overweight. Yeah, I know. They're the worst. But number 2 is actually.
Does this help that it's the 4 somatic mushroom coffee? Because I think that's good for your brain.
It might be. I don't know. I'm allergic to mushrooms, so I don't know. I don't know anything about mushroom coffee. It's the only thing
I'll research that.
Yeah. Get Michelle to research that. But the number 2 thing outside of the smoking, caffeine, and nicotine and overweight is retirement / aging / not getting your brain to work, because it lessens your blood flow when you aren't keeping your neurons firing every single day. And one of the best ways to do that is to actually teach something. So I said, this is a selfish one that it can pay long-term for your brain and for your health and everything to continue to teach and present and speak. And because you're learning and then you're going out and presenting that, And when you're presenting, your neurons in your brain are firing like at one of the highest levels possible, which increases your blood flow to your brain, which increases your chances to have a healthier brain. So selfishly, I was like, man, you wanna teach and present. It pays to do that because it's actually healthy for you.
That's great. And, you know, I just thought of something when you were saying that. I actually read something the other day, and it said that we actually learn better and faster in high risk situations. So if
Wow.
training and presenting is way up there with death, that is, your body's going to perceive that as a high risk situation.
Probably because what? You're almost like to a shock state, so you remember it. I mean, maybe, I don't know.
Probably. I think you're kind of forced to, well, I was listening to a book the other day, and this is so fits this point that we're making. It's called The Message of You. And I remember when my son-in-law was so sick with cancer, honestly, the only thing that got me through was I was running and I was listening to books on audio.
Yeah.
And I remember exactly where I was, what street I was on, where I was, you know, what house I was passing. I mean, all those things are so vivid to me during this time because it really got me through such horrible situation that we were in, that I was listening to this book by Judy Carter called The Message of You. Mm-hmm. And she tells this story in the book about how she actually started out being a comedian. And as a comedian, she got tired of like hecklers and just different things. So she realized, hey, if I could become a speaker, you know, that would even be better. So she started teaching people about laughter because that was kind of her background. And so she got asked by one of her students, because she did this workshop and 30 people were there. And one of the ladies said, hey, I work over at the VA or somewhere, and I've got all these veterans and they've like lost their limbs. I mean, they're like, it's bad. She said, the nurses, the doctors, it's depressing. The people, it's depressing. So she said, Judy said, you know, of course, yeah, I'll come do that. She said, on the way over there, I'm thinking, what the heck am I going to tell these people? Oh, just laugh it off. She said, I started to panic. I mean, panic, because these people are in dire situations and I'm going to go in and tell them that laughter is what they need. She said, I freaked out. And she said, on the way over there, I couldn't come up with anything. And she said, they introduced me. And so I'm like, I got to go on. And she said, out of nowhere, my story about my sister came up. Her sister was a paraplegic her whole life. Wow. And her dad was an alcoholic. Their dad was an alcoholic, and it was very tense situations. And she tell the story about how when her sister died, she had lived in this home, and she goes to her funeral and she said, I'm expecting a few people to be there. Hundreds of people were there. And they talked about how her sister, what she meant to them and how she made them feel. I mean, all these things. And she's sitting there saying, so we all have a purpose. We all have a way that we can communicate. Anyway, it was like, she said, like God knew I needed. She said, I had never told that story in my life. I had never told that story, but out of my mouth immediately comes that story. And she said, and then I started moving into the laughter stuff, and people were lightening up and laughing. And she's followed one of the veterans and to what all he's doing now. One had just almost, she said, right before I went on to talk, his dad came up to me and said, you got to help me. Nick is giving up. He won't take the physical therapy. He's going to die. And so she said, I really panicked because I'm like, and what the heck am I going to tell these people? And she said, where that story came from, I don't know. But I think that's an example of the ability to fire those neurons under that pressure, and what that actually does. But anyway, it's just a really cool story. And it just reminded me of what we were talking about here is how good for you to be in those high risk situations are. And I know we don't love them, but I think they really are useful for us.
Yeah. I love that.
One of the other things I put on here is extra income.
Yeah.
There's always like, I became part of the Keller Williams University early on. And then I eventually became certified in Fierce. And there's just an extra way to make extra income also. So it's also a multiplier in that way, that if you're getting some income from it and you're, creating your validity and influence in front of people, and you're learning something you need to be mastering anyway, and you're using it as a recruiting tool, either for people for your team or people for your office or whatever, or to do business with you. I mean, you've just sat there and quadrupled what your time is worth. And I think some people see it as a diversion, and you can't see it that way.
Hi, everyone. It's Dana from Everything Life and Real Estate. I hope that you are enjoying this awesome episode that you're listening to. I just wanted to interrupt really quickly and share with you some really big and exciting news. Linda and I are officially launching our first ever live course called Everything Life and Influence: How to Multiply Your Life and Your Business with the Power of Influence. With this formula that we are going to teach you, we have successfully achieved over 500,000 downloads on our podcast. We've attracted 10,000 plus entrepreneurs into our lives and businesses. We've built 7-figure businesses, and we've had doors open for more opportunities than we ever thought or imagined. In this live course, we're going to teach you our formula for influence that is going to help you in your life. We're going to teach you how to attract the relationships that you want. We're going to also teach you how to take your failures and create influence to build trust with others. And we're also going to share with you what it takes to be an it player, to have that it factor as an attractor, so that you aren't chasing people, clients, recruits, into your world and anything else that you may have into your business. This is all happening on May 18th from 11 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And all you have to do is visit www.everythinglifeandinfluence.com. Give us your email address and we'll send you the link for a first reserved spot on our live course. We hope to see you there. Don't forget to visit the website and enjoy this episode.
Well, and also you bring up a great point right now. People are wanting to learn more than they ever have before. They're wanting to go to events and they're willing to pay. And so when it comes to the extra income thing, I mean, you can, if you have good validity and you have some sort of what Amy Porterfield calls the 10% edge, I think is what she calls it.
Actually, this was 10%.
Yeah, your 10% edge. What you're solving a problem, and it's a topic that truly lights you up. You can charge for that. I mean, there's no reason why you can't charge some decent money for that. So I think that's a really great one.
So one of the things I thought we'd add too is 2 more things. One, what are some ways you get better? Because I think that's another thing that people need to try to, if you think this is something you want to do, and how do I start getting better? And I thought of, in our leadership academy, I don't know if we did this when you were there or not, but did we do the 10-minute talk?
Yeah.
Yes. That has turned out to be one of the best things that we've done. Is we we get our people in the leadership academy on the very last day, they have to give a 10-minute talk. Yeah. And it is harder to give a 10-minute talk than it is to talk for hours or for days. Right.
It is.
And so one of the things I put down is do some 10-minute talks, because that forces you to compact your information and get to the point and not ramble and all that stuff. So that was one thing. And then I put things like Toastmasters, offer to teach in your offices, because offices are always looking for someone to teach at office meetings. And then you could eventually go out to other office meetings. You can also become a part of Keller Williams Train the Trainer and Train the Presenter, which I think we just had in our region last week.
Yeah, we just had it last week. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say look for some of those types of opportunities to do that. And then every chance you get, volunteer to present.
Yeah. Yeah. I think all those are great. The only thing I would add to that is be open to feedback and ask for feedback. Because I think in order to get better at something, you have to be open to feedback. And sometimes it can be hard to receive feedback. And I just was reminded of this getting my Fierce certification, because one of the teachbacks that I had was feedback. And it really reminded me of being open to feedback, because especially as a leader or as a presenter, as a trainer, as somebody, if you aren't open to feedback, then you don't really know how you could possibly get better, or even what you're presenting and training on, if it's even having an impact on those people or not. And the way that you're presenting it could have a huge effect on whether it's actually impacting them, in a really strong way, and like a so-so way, or not at all. So I think you have to be open to feedback. And then the last thing that I had, just going back to kind of why it pays really quickly, is I do believe, and this is I call it a Linda / Joe Polish quote, because I think you got it from him, but I got it from you, which is life gives to the giver and takes from the taker, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes I think when you're training and presenting, you're really, I mean, you're serving others, and you're giving back in a way to other people, that one class, like one thing that you do, could have a life-changing, life-altering happening in somebody's life. And I think anytime you have the opportunity to be in front of a room, whether it scares you as much as dying does, or whether it doesn't, you're really being a servant to other
Mhm.
people that are in the classroom. It's not about you, it's about them. And
Mhm.
it's a way of like, for me, I love it because it gives me energy, and also it's a way to give back and to pass along the things that you've learned to other people. So to me, it pays in a huge way, because it can be bucket filling, for yourself too, because you're actually really doing something where you're giving back.
Yeah, so true. That's a really good point. Because really, honestly, I do believe most of my opportunities have come in life because I started out training and teaching and being a giver,
Yeah.
and without even expecting anything in return. But so many great things have come out of that. One final thing I thought let's do this to wrap up is, people might be wondering, where do I get the material? So a couple of things I put is, number one, you could borrow it. And this reminded me of a story of a girl that reached out to me from Canada. We've written several books. We've written Hold, which is How to Find, Buy, and Rent Houses to Build Wealth. I also have a book before that a lot of people don't know about, called Presentation Mastery for Realtors.
Yep.
And it's so funny. I let one bad remark from someone make me think the book wasn't any good. And yet I get
Oh,
so many people say, God, I love that book. Look how tattered and torn ours is. Our team's
yeah.
been through the whole thing over and over. And a girl reached out from me from Canada and said, I love this book. I use it all the time. Can I teach your material? Well, and I had actually paid someone to create a course around it.
Hmm.
And so I said to her, I said, absolutely, just make sure you give me credit. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
And so I thought about it. I thought, well, you could, if you love, and just like we love Fierce, and,
Yep.
and so we went through the process to be able to teach that. So you could borrow somebody else's ideas and material. You don't have to be
Yep.
the creator of it.
Yep.
And then
Yeah.
the
That's a
second
great
way, I think, is to use create your own. And so one of the
Yeah.
things that I think about on creating your own is, think around your own life story. What has your
Mhm.
life journey so far shaped you up into be such a way that you could teach other people?
Yep.
Because I think, again, and you and I talk about this when we talk about influence, we try to hide our failures, when I
Yeah.
believe the true reason we have any hardships or failures along the way is because we're going to need that material to help somebody else later. So one of the things that has always helped me, I was going to finish that up. We wrote List More, Sell More is a little book that we wrote. I'm working on the formula
Yep.
book now. But I always start with an outline. What does an outline look like? Like, how many chapters do I want to be? Or like if I'm going to talk for, a whole day, how many subcategories would I need? If I am only talking for an hour, I might only need one outline, right? One piece of
Mhm.
something, or I call it a chapter or something.
Yep.
But if I'm going to talk for 3 hours, I might need two. So in that, I'm looking for, what's the outline title, what am I trying to teach in that, and then what
Yeah.
stories do I have that prove that point that I'm trying to make,
Yep.
and then what do I want to leave them with, what action do I want them to take, or what high points or whatever. So you can pretty much come about this either way. But if you don't have material, you probably do, number one, have material, you just don't think you do yet. But in the
Yeah.
meantime, borrow someone else's to get in the habit of teaching and training, and then you could
Yeah.
work on creating some of your own material.
Yep, I totally agree. And I actually have 6 quick points that we can share with them. And these are from Amy Porterfield. And I just happened to have them on my little book right here that I'd had Post-it noted. And it kind of goes exactly with what you're saying, Linda. If you are coming up with creating something too, you can ask yourself these questions. Number one, in what areas are you already being paid for your time and expertise? Like, are you already in an area that you're getting paid? Number two, what do your friends and family come to you for advice and guidance about frequently? Because that might be something that you could come up with to teach. If you have one-on-one clients, or even if you've done something successfully yourself, what process or framework did you get that you used, or did you use to get the results? Number four, what kind of questions do you get asked all the time? What topic are you always talking about or being asked by others? I need to pick your brain on this. Number five, what successful businesses are out there that you know that could do really well in your own unique way? And then number six, if you already have an audience, what are the common questions or comments that come up? Which content of yours is shared the most? So I was just talking about this actually with Danny Barron on our interview for the influence course yesterday, because he said he kind of gets asked the same questions over and over, which almost all of us do. But and then if you go back and look at your content, if you're on social media, like what of your content gets shared, gets liked, gets the most comments, that might be something that you could create something with that then you could go and train and present on. And so those questions have really helped me trying to come up with some new stuff myself right now.
Those are great points, Dana. Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. Just out of curiosity, you bought the hard book from 2 weeks notice, right?
I did. And I have Audible because I'm listening to it and writing in it at the same time, because she suggested that like you actually fill out the stuff as you go. And so I've been listening to it on 1.5 speed while I look at the book, and then I pause it, and then I actually answer the questions, like, when I'm just like, honestly, I had to take 2 days, not all day, but 2 days. I took like 2 different hours each day, and I just went and sat my chair outside in the sun because I needed to get some vitamin D, and I put it in, listened to it, had my book, and then I would pause it and answer. Like, I just needed to be in a quiet time to do it, but it helped a ton. I have Tattered Up, her book. Speaking of Tattered Up,
I need to do that, because what I'm learning with just Audible is I'm not retaining as much.
Yeah.
And I don't go download the resources like they tell you.
Yeah, she has a great resource page. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to currently rip off and duplicate it myself, but it's great.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, I think another great conversation. So if you have not, go ahead and hit the subscribe button below. We'd love to have you subscribe. And the greatest compliment you can give Dana and I is a 5-star review, and to pass this along to anyone that you believe would benefit from these kinds of conversations. If you have a question, a challenge, or a topic that you would like for us to discuss on this podcast, be sure and reach out to us at info@everything life and real estate. And Dana, I guess I'll see you next time.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.